And joining us now is Matthew Brodsky. He's a senior fellow at the Securities Study Group. He's also a contributor to National Review, The National Interest, The Hill, and The Jerusalem Post. Thank you for coming in.
Sure.
You have to wonder, had he not considered that his life would be in danger before he entered into this position?
Right, so something just doesn't seem to add up in this situation, right? Yeah, two things we need to remember about the Middle East, and specifically Lebanon. Lebanon is the stage where all sorts of outside actors have played out their parts with their proxies, number one. Number two, things aren't always what they seem. There's nothing to indicate really that he was going to be assassinated right now. It doesn't make sense from Iran's perspective or Hezbollah's perspective. He, after all, had joined in the government and has been working, even though he's a Sunni, he's been working for Iran and carrying forward their agenda. This is not the Hariri of 2005, 2006, who was leading a coalition against Iranian influence. You're saying he'd been working for
Iran and with their agenda?
Well, the fact is the whole country of Lebanon, the political system, the army, is dominated by Hezbollah and Iran's control. They don't actually take over all the portfolios, but what they've done is built up parallel structures.
But he'd been pushing back against this.
I mean, not to any really strong degree. In fact, in the past week, or the past few weeks now, he's, first of all, met with the highest-ranking Iranian advisor to Khamenei, and he went ahead and helped approve the ambassador back to Syria. This is more likely, I think it will pan out in the coming days, that it turns out to be Saudi Arabia, which has been essentially the godfather to Hariri, is saying, we don't like where you've been going with this, you've gone too far, and they're basically telling their little student, this is what you need to do.
How big of a setback is this right now?
Well, it would set them back probably about a year or so. But again, this is a country that has really been able to survive in horrible types of political stalemates. But at the same time, given the long history of civil wars that they've had, they look at Syria and other places around them, and they're not going to be quick to pick up arms.
He says the political climate is just like it was when his father was assassinated in 2005. What do you make of that?
Well, sure, to an extent, but at the same time, there was opposition when his father was assassinated. Right now, Iran is already in control. I mean, the United States is giving money to the Lebanese armed forces, but at the same time, they're working with Hezbollah. So, I mean, Hariri is still basically carrying out his instructions. He's doing it reluctantly, but that doesn't seem to matter.
Well, if you're saying he's a puppet, he's really speaking out and possibly even stoking tensions, because he's saying, I want to tell Iran and its followers they will lose in the interference in the affairs of Arab nations, and we will rise above this.
Right. I think more than likely it's Saudi Arabia reasserting itself in the Lebanese dimension, whereas they've been slightly absent for a few years, and Iran has been ascendant and is still the top dog.
Well, what can Saudi Arabia really do at this point?
You know, there's not a lot. A lot of it really depends on the United States and what its policy is going to be toward pushing back on Iran on areas that are outside of the nuclear agreement. That goes for Syria, that goes for Iraq, and also in Lebanon. But Lebanon, everything is so entrenched and institutionalized at this point that it always resembles a car wreck, unfortunately.
So at this point, the parliament will now have to nominate a new prime minister. What is likely to happen going forward, Matthew?
There'll probably be a stalemate, but the way the country is set up, the political system, you're going to have a Sunni prime minister, there's going to be a Shia president, and you're going to have a Maronite Christian for a speaker. So they're going to be drawn from the same type of circles, and there's nothing to me that indicates that the political tide, which is in Iran's favor in Lebanon, that's going to be turned back anytime soon.
All righty. Well, Matthew Brodsky, we really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.